I feel like at great inconvenience, our good friend Gerard Gilbert has gotten up early. Had to set the alarm clock a little earlier this morning than maybe he normally would have. He doesn't go to work until 10 o'clock most days. And so being in the studio at 20 minutes after 7, big day. Gerard, good morning. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks for having me. You fellas get up kind of early, don't you?
It's a fairly early start, and when it's you got like the little bit of thunder and some flashes of lightning, and you can hear the rain, it makes it extra hard to get out of bed.
Yeah, well, working overtime today, Richard,
and tomorrow as well. Right. So you got a show at 10 this morning, and then you're going to jump on an airplane and head to our nation's capital. One of the things that the Trump administration has said from day one in this second term is that they are going to be more inclusive of media entities that represent the entire country, not just some of the mainstream and legacy news outlets. And as part of that, they have set up a Radio Row that's going to be, I think, in the Eisenhower Office Building, part of the White House complex. And you're going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah, that is exactly right. I was contacted Friday morning around 11:30 via text by Bryn Jeffers. She is the White House Media Affairs Coordinator. I think she's the director of that team. And she sent me a text, and it was an invitation to participate in this event tomorrow. It's described as Radio Row, a Radio Row event, as you said, at the Eisenhower Executive Office Building on the White House complex. I'm literally reading from her text.
Yeah.
And
did she apologize for the short notice?
No, she did not. And of course, I'm getting this thinking this is a scam. I mean, that was my first thought. Was this can't be real? This just sounds, a little too fishy. And so, of course, I started looking her up. I mean, that's this cool thing about this internet. You can find a bunch of information in a hurry. So I looked her up. Surely enough, that is the name of the person who is the White House Media Affairs Director. So okay, check. And then I did a reverse lookup on her phone number, and I got the initials of her name. You got to pay money to get the full name, but and I didn't do that. Once I got the initials, I said, okay. And then it's a New Jersey number. It's an area code from New Jersey. Yeah. She attended Penn State.
Okay.
When you look her background up. And so I sent it to my friend, Congressman Michael Guest. I said, can you have somebody in your office maybe do a little lookup on this? And he came back with the same information I had. So I said, what the heck? I'm just going to call the number. And I did, and she answered.
Okay.
And she sounded legitimate at that point, and we started talking. And so I asked her, how did you find me? I mean, that's the natural question. How did you find me? And so on Friday, I did a panel discussion on Newsmax, like an hour before I got this text.
Okay.
And she told me that. She said, we saw you on Newsmax. And at that point, I said, okay. So we have. I went to work, of course, with our team to see if we could pull this off. And, gee, I felt so bad about imposing on them on Friday. We were off, of course, Good Friday. But I did, and they were extremely responsive, with our president, CEO, Kim, and our content director, Alex. And, of course, you got to drag along, him well, Houston McDavid, with our engineer, with all the equipment, and he's the one that can make it go. And so we got on 2 or 3 conference calls discussing this, and, of course, Houston sent me a list of questions for Bryn, and I sent those to hers, and she responded. So, I mean, that's the bottom line. It is, according to her text, the purpose is to interview cabinet secretaries and other administration officials about the first 100 days of the Trump administration. And that's it. And I said, well, how will we know who's available and, what that schedule looks like? She said it's all based on their availability, and we'll find that out tomorrow. So
okay.
That's all I know at this point. Now, if I've been duped, I guess I'm taking a trip to Washington.
Yeah, you can have a nice meal and spend a night in a hotel and then come back home. Doesn't sound like that's the case. You're going, though, Gerard, at a pretty interesting time because there is a lot going on. That's been the case for the entire first 3 months of this administration. They have been operating at a chaotic pace, but you've got questions about what's going on at the Department of Defense with people talking about Pete Hegseth and his leadership. You've obviously got the issue with the prison in El Salvador and the stance that the courts have taken and the stance that the administration has taken. There's the tariff conversation. There is a lot that is happening right now in Washington, D.C. Feels like a pretty good time to be there.
Yeah, there is. And, it just depends on who we're able and fortunate to get on the show. And I'm thinking, how in the world do you prepare for this wide range of possible topics and issues that you could be dealing with? You know what that's like. But you're right. There is much activity. And I think that's the point, honestly, Richard, of them holding this event is that have you ever seen so much activity as we approach the 100-day mark in an administration? I can't think of it, but we shouldn't be surprised. That's Mr. Trump's nature.
Gerard, I was thinking yesterday, and that's dangerous sometimes. If I said to you, hey, you got to give the Trump administration a letter grade for their first 100 days, what letter grade would you give them?
Yeah, I think I'd give them a B. And the only reason I would stop short of an A is that we still have lots of unanswered questions about the tariff situation, and that is wreaking havoc on the economy. The markets are down again this morning. And I think the markets are down, Richard, because we don't have a tariff deal yet. If we have a trade deal. If we had a trade deal, just one, I think we'd see the markets react differently. But there was some expectation of that. The other thing I would say is we're bouncing around so much that sometimes I think the messaging gets lost a little bit, and so I give them a little bit of a demerit, if you could call it that, from an A to a B. But the one thing that was front and center during the campaign, immigration, there's no question that that's an A. All you have to do is look at the border and the situation there now versus what it was during the prior administration. You're right. There's some controversial moves by this administration that the courts will have to sort out, but you got to give them an A plus there. And it was just a message. It was just, hey, don't come here.
Yeah, and to me, the thing that stands out really more than anything for the Trump administration for the first 3 months is they spent 6 months to a year leading up to Election Day telling you, if you elect us, this is what we are going to do, and have largely followed through on it. So whether you believe in tariffs, good, bad, or otherwise, they told you we're putting tariffs in place.
Yeah.
Whether or not you're for shutting down the border or not, they told you we're shutting down the border, and there's going to be a process. That's going to be step one. Then we're going to go to deportations with criminals. That's going to be step two. And then it will branch out from there. And that's what they've done.
Yeah, I agree. And then remember, day one, all the executive orders essentially ending all the DEI stuff across the spectrum of government, which is one of the first things Joe Biden did was impose it throughout government. He reversed that. He signed executive orders to roll back lots of the regulations applying to exploration and production of fossil fuels in this country. And honestly, even though we're seeing some pullback on the price of oil, those really haven't even kicked in yet. Yeah. We haven't even seen the benefit of that. So I think, right, he does not let the grass grow under his feet, as they say.
You know, one of the really fascinating numbers, and I'm sure you've seen this chart, whether you go back to Bush 41 or Clinton or Bush 43 or Obama, Trump the first go around, Joe Biden, the deportation numbers were significantly large. I know we're still early in the administration, significantly larger in all of those administrations than they are right now for the Trump administration. And the number of court challenges to those deportations were zero.
Right.
And now it's every day you're getting a new challenge in the courts.
Yeah, it's a double standard, and I think that's largely because of who appointed these judges in the courts who seem to be practicing law as lawmakers as opposed to judges in robes, and that's always been a risk of our court system.
No, you've got a big day today, a busy day today, and a big day tomorrow. Certainly we will be listening. Congratulations. This is a really cool opportunity, and look forward to hearing all about it after the fact as well.
Appreciate that. Appreciate talking about it, having the opportunity to talk about it, Richard. Thanks for having me on, man.
You can hear more about Gerard's plans today starting at 10 o'clock, middays with Gerard Gilbert, every day here on SuperTalk Mississippi from 10 until 1. Mandy Gunasacred joins us coming up next. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.